Hello YouTube, Sean Bradley here, and today I will be reviewing Nocturnal Animals, the second film from fashion designer turned filmmaker Tom Ford. The plot follows a successful art gallery owner in Los Angeles named Susan Morrow, played by Amy Adams, who is stuck in a deteriorating marriage to her unfaithful second husband named Hutton, played by Armie Hammer. While Hutton is in New York on business, Susan becomes engrossed in the manuscript for a soon-to-be-published novel called Nocturnal Animals, written by her first husband, Edward Sheffield, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, and was dedicated to her, as the title had spawned from Edward's nickname for her. As she continues to read the script, she begins to reminisce about how she and Edward had met, fell in love, got married, and then eventually got divorced. There is also a second plot line that runs parallel to the first, which takes place in the fictional world of the manuscript. A teacher named Tony Hastings, also played by Jake Gyllenhaal, is driving through West Texas at night with his wife and daughter, played by Isla Fisher and Ellie Bamber, when they are driven off the road by a gang of local troublemakers led by Ray Marcus, played by Aaron Taylor-Johnson. They drive away with his wife and daughter, who are later found raped and murdered. The case gets assigned to Lieutenant Bobby Andes, played by Michael Shannon, who helps Tony to track down the men responsible. Let me start off by saying that I absolutely loved this film. This film was so good in its acting and its direction and its cinematography. So now on to Tom Ford's direction. Tom Ford first began a career in the fashion industry, starting out as an intern in the press office of the fashion design company Chloe, before spending 2 years as Kathy Hardwicke's design assistant. In 1988, he moved to Perry Ellis for another 2 years, before growing tired of working in American fashion. In 1990, he moved to Milan after being hired as the chief women's ready-to-wear designer at Gucci. His role had extended rapidly, with him designing menswear within 6 months of working there, and then soon after that, shoes. In 1992, he replaced Richard Lambertson as Gucci's new design director after Lambertson had left the company, a job that Ford had worked at before being promoted to creative director in 1994. And then, when Gucci had acquired the house of Yves Saint Laurent, Ford was named creative director of that label too. And he worked for both labels for a decade until Ford had left the Gucci group in 2004 after he and CEO Domenico De Soli had failed to agree with PPR, now renamed Kering, over control of the group. Afterwards, Ford had launched his own label of menswear, beauty, eyewear and accessories, all named after himself. He designed the suits for Daniel Craig for his last 3 James Bond films, the suits, shirts and accessories for the Grammy Award-winning video for Justin Timberlake's Suit and Tie, which also mentioned him in the song, and even dressed Timberlake for his 2020 Experience tour, designing over 600 pieces of clothing. In 2005, Ford had launched Fade to Black, his production company, and launched into filmmaking. In 2009, Tom Ford made his directorial debut with A Single Man, adapted from Christopher Isherwood's novel of the same name, with a script written by himself and David Scarce. It premiered at the 66th Venice International Film Festival, where it was nominated for the Golden Lion. So here, Tom Ford has directed this film from his own screenplay, which he had adapted from Austin Wright's 1993 novel, Tony and Susan. In preparation for watching this film, I watched A Single Man. Within the first couple of minutes of that film, I began to love it. It was so detailed in its cinematography. I liked the visual style of that film. Its use of slow motion and its art direction were amazing. I gave it 5 stars on my Netflix rating. In A Single Man, we got the sole plotline of a college professor struggling with the death of his partner. In Nocturnal Animals, we get 2 films for the price of 1. The first is an art house drama about a woman in a deteriorating marriage with their cheating husband, while the second is a straight-up revenge thriller. The direction of the film is very stylized, with exterior shots of the Texas desert in the fictional plotline that look very much like a painting. The cinematographer Seamus McGarvey does an excellent job with this film. The scenes in Los Angeles that take place in the real world have a look that is both stylish and realistic, suitable for Amy Adams' character of a realist. However, there are some sequences in the film that may seem pretentious, despite it being shot so beautifully. I am not even going to reveal what happens in the opening title sequence of the film because it just comes out way out of left field, despite the film being a psychological thriller. What the title sequence revolves around was such a complete surprise. If you have seen the film, then you will know what I mean. Mark Kermode has even took to YouTube to explain his reaction to the opening title sequence.
Do you think I still think that the opening title sequence is a little bit, yeah, the opening title sequence. And so here's the thing, the opening title sequence, the second time round, when you know what the opening title sequence is, and this, the best way of describing it, it's a kind of carnival of fleshy Americana that the first time you see it, you think, what on earth is this? The second time you see it, it kind of makes a little bit more sense. I have to say, I think it's a misstep. It's not, for me, by the time I got to the end of the film the first time around, I had completely forgotten about that opening sequence. I'd completely forgotten about it. It was when I saw it again just a couple of weeks ago, actually less than a couple of weeks ago, I was then surprised by it.
So let's get on to the performances. Amy Adams is very good in her performance as Susan. I also thought that she was awesome in Denis Villeneuve's Arrival, the other film that she did in 2016. In the flashback scenes, Susan looks happy and optimistic, like a ray of sunshine is glowing all around her. But in the scenes that are set in the present, there is a depressive look about her. She becomes deprived of sleep due to the reading of the manuscript and her reminiscence of Edward. Their marriage begins to implode and she eventually goes on to marry Hutton. Jake Gyllenhaal does such a magnificent performance in this film, taking on two roles. The optimistic aspiring writer in the real world and the doting and vengeful husband and father in the fictional world. Both characters were wronged, but Edward seems to want to let bygones be bygones and be friends with his ex-wife Susan, while Tony is out for blood. He and Officer Andrea try to do this by the book. They try to catch the guys who killed his family through the justice system, which eventually leads to more sinister methods. There are scenes of Jake Gyllenhaal as Tony showing grief over his family's deaths. The scenes with him and Ray are so emotional. Aaron Taylor-Johnson does such a wonderful performance in this film. He is menacing and funny, showing no remorse for his actions, and will often deny, with a smiley face, any wrongdoing. His accent does sound a little bit stereotypical. This high-pitched, drawling Texas accent that he does, but he is so great in this. Armie Hammer has very little screen time due to his character being an unfaithful workaholic, but he does do fine with the screen time that he is given. However, Michael Shannon is so amazing in this. He plays the gritty, wisecracking lawman who doesn't play by the rules. I also enjoyed his performance in HBO's Boardwalk Empire. He has a bit of depth to him in this film, and he has, a bit of a screen presence. The sound mixing is very well done, with the gunshots being loud, and even having a jump scare way out of nowhere, like one of those screamer videos. The ending to this film is, from my perspective, very clear on its intentions, despite the fact that it is supposed to be left ambiguous. The film had been nominated for 3 Golden Globes at the 74th Golden Globe Awards, with Tom Ford for Best Director and Best Screenplay, and Aaron Taylor Johnson for Best Supporting Actor in a Motion Picture, who as of Monday the 9th of January 2017, when I am currently recording this soundbite, has already won the award. I'm pretty sure that this will do very well when we get around to the BAFTA and the Oscar nominations. So to sum up, Nocturnal Animals is definitely a film that needs to be experienced. And if you could, see it on the big screen. I went to see this film at Home, a performing arts venue in Manchester. It is a combination of an art gallery, a theatre and a cinema. Their 5 auditoriums have flagship Sony 4K digital projectors and 7.1 audio from Datasat. It is such a brilliant cinema. It has a gift shop which has books on film and art, as well as pictures and postcards. It also has a bar and a restaurant. It is not a conventional cinema like Odeon or Cineworld. It does films that are being considered for big awards and even independent film. The trailers that I saw during the screening were for films that are being considered for the Oscars and independent dramas. In the exterior of the cinema, which is located upstairs, is a 35mm West Star projector, which was used to project 35mm film in Screen 2 of the now barren Corner House Cinema on Oxford Road from 1985 until its closure in 2015. It is a good chance for independent film to be recognised, as Manchester is a place of culture. I recommend checking out this cinema. The cinematography for this film is wonderful and gorgeous. Tom Ford's direction is so stylish and so colourful. The film has a whole 116 minutes laden with exquisite performances. It should be discussed and analysed by many film historians and experts. I hope that it does well this award season. I give this film a 9 out of 10. This is Sean Bradley signing out. I'll see you later. Bye.